What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another Victory Monday episode of the Phaithful Phanatics Show, guys. As always, if you're new to the channel, do us a favor, make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_Media. Smash that follow button and then check out the link tree in our bio. It's the best spot to find all of our social media pages, more specifically the YouTube channel. If you guys do want to be interactive throughout today's show, drop a comment on the YouTube page at DSM-Media-Philadelphia, as you can see on the screen. Smash that subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends, family, any other Eagles or Philly sports fans that you know might like the content. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right today, as always, my faithful co-host, Scotty. The Philadelphia Eagles are NFC Championship bound. We are 6 days away from hosting the NFC Championship game against the division rival Washington Commanders. We'll get to the Commanders later on in the week, Scotty. Just a quick heads up. Any Commanders fans, any Eagles haters that drop comments about the Washington Commanders specifically will not be addressed today. Those will be addressed Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Today is time for celebration. We're focusing on recapping this Rams win yesterday. My man, happy Monday. And these Victory Mondays never get old.
Yeah, I know that's the truth, man. Just getting this shared out on X, but
Yes, sir.
yeah, happy to have another Victory Monday. Obviously, yesterday got a little bit sweatier than what I would have liked, but you take the W's however they come. Yeah, I'm interested to see what everybody's on in the comments today. I'm interested to see how everybody is receiving the W today. But yeah, I'm ecstatic, man, to be going to the NFC Championship, to be hosting the NFC Championship here in Philadelphia. And what better route could you have asked for than getting the Commanders in the NFC Championship? I know we'll get to it later on in the week, but time is now for this team, man. They can go and win it this year, and it's something that we've been preaching all season, and they just continue to prove us right. They continue to prove themselves right. They continue to prove doubters wrong. So yeah, I think I'm pretty excited to get into this game with you today, man, and just recap, because there were some really, really huge classical type of moments in this game.
A lot of moments
that we're gonna remember for the rest of our lives as Eagles
for
fans.
sure.
So, yeah,
for sure,
it was a great game.
A lot of moments on both sides of the ball, right? And we'll get into those in a second. And I know we're going to address the Commanders later on in the week, but you brought up, having an opportunity to host it. And that was looking bleak because for the last month of the regular season, we were what? We were trying to position for the 1 seed because that was the route to get everything through Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And if not, you're going to have to go on the road, and play one away game before ultimately trying to get to a Super Bowl. And now it's like come full circle. And not only do you get to host the NFC Championship game at the link, you get the division rival that it looked like we were going to play in the wild card round 3 weeks ago for a large majority of the last month of the season. So it's coming together now. Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, we'll talk about that later on. But there's two names outside of those two guys that I'm going to talk about today with you. Two guys that basically single-handedly won this football game. Two guys that were the two best players on the field on each side of the line of scrimmage. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Carter. Those two absolutely wrecked this football game. Saquon Barkley just continues to own the Los Angeles Rams, man. I'll have to pull it up here in a minute. I have the YouTube pulled up on my phone, but in 2 games against the Rams, Saquon Barkley has over 550 yards from scrimmage. He has 325 yards before contact against the Los Angeles Rams in 2 games, Scotty. The 78-yarder where he turns to Jalen in the blizzard and says, watch this. Should have iced the game. Obviously, things got a little tricky down the end after that big moment, but that was incredible to basically kick off the game and get us back the lead after going down 7-6, waiting for Jared Verse to catch up a little bit and give some shit to him as he crosses the goal line. Saquon Barkley was fucking unbelievable with over 200 yards on the ground yesterday. And then Jalen Carter just did Jalen Carter things, man. He was double teamed over 70% of the snaps yesterday. He forces a fumble in the second half of this game. He comes up with a game-saving, basically game-ending sack. He had numerous hits, numerous sacks on Matthew Stafford in this game. Yeah. Saquon Barkley and Jalen Carter, man, we're going to talk about them a lot today.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with everything you just said there. Obviously, both of those guys made the plays down the stretch that ultimately win you the game. Another guy I'm going to throw in there, man, is Zach Bond. He's an animal as well, man. He's all over the field. There was a drive towards the beginning of the fourth quarter where he made three critical plays in a row. It was the second fumble from Stafford, I believe. It was Stafford. He got sacked by Nolan Smith. Zach Bond recovers the fumble. Yep. But the 3 plays leading up to that sack and strip fumble recovered by the Eagles, Zach Bond was blitzing. He was getting in on Stafford. I think he even got him to the ground on one of those plays. And then the next play was making a play in the backfield on a penalty by the LA Rams as well. Yep. And then there was one mixed in there that I think Slay broke up down the field. Slay had an excellent game as well, man. Really needed him to step up, especially when you lose Quinion early on in the game. So just throwing a few other guys in the mix there. But yeah, Jalen Carter, I think he just shows yesterday, the levels to things when it comes to playing defensive tackle, when it comes to, statistics, because everybody gets caught up in sacks and, lack of pressures and whatnot. And I get it, right? But you have to understand this guy's getting double teamed almost every single snap 70% that he's on the field. Mm-hmm. So there's not going to be a ton of opportunities for him to go and actually get his hands on the quarterback. He's making plays for other guys to get after the quarterback and get him on the ground. So to see him come through at the end of the game where, I'll be honest with you, they're driving down the field. Yeah, it feels like you have no answer. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I have significant trust in this defense to the point where I know I'm sitting there and I do understand both sides. Like, one, it's Matthew Stafford, it's Sean McVay driving down the field. You have Puka making an incredible catch down the field, like one-handed on the side of his head. You have plays like that happening, so I understand what's happening on that side of the ball. But I also understand on the defensive side of the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles, you just need one guy, whether it's Zach Bond, whether it's CGJ, whether it's Reed Blankenship, whether it's Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. One guy has to step up and make a play in these critical moments. Jalen Carter comes in and makes 2 plays that win you the game completely. Yeah. It wins you the game. Literally. Literally. So, I'm with you on everything you said, man. Jalen Carter, fucking stud. And the big thing for me, man, as this postseason goes on, we got 2 more games to go, man. 2 more wins that we got to gather. I'm ready to crown Saquon as having the best season ever. Like, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to call him the best Eagle ever. And I'm ready to do it. You just have to finish, man. That's what it comes down to at this point for me, because he's had so many moments this season that you sit there, man. And I won't lie to you. Alexis can vouch for this. On that last one, the 78 fucking yarder in the snow? Blizzard. Yeah. I got down on my knees and prayed like he was God. Like, I was just like, oh my fucking God. Like, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, obviously, you have the offensive line, you have the threat of all of it plays a part, but Saquon Barkley is a motherfucking monster. It's a special. We are blessed to be able to watch him play for our team.
It is the greatest season I've seen in an Eagles uniform. It's the biggest difference maker. I've witnessed as a young kid Terrell Owens coming here, and in the 1 year basically he was here going to the Super Bowl and then playing on practically a broken leg and still balling out. Terrell Owens is a top 5 wide receiver all time. He blessed us by wearing an Eagles jersey as well. This is the greatest season I've watched an Eagles player have single-handedly. And I have my notes here. Okay. I have very simple: Saquon Barkley and Jalen Carter. Saquon is the Rams' father. And lastly, Saquon is the first non-quarterback I feel like can legitimately lead you and win you a championship. Non-quarterback. Those don't come around, bro. There aren't guys that don't touch the ball every play. That's why wide receivers and running backs and all don't win MVPs. It's why they don't win Super Bowl MVPs a large majority of the time. I know it's happened in the past, because the quarterback is the most important position in football and probably in all of sports, right? He's the first non-quarterback that I feel like can lead you and win you a chip. He's that fucking good. He's that dominant. They just wear you and wear you and wear you down. And I know he hit the home run in early on in the first half to put us up 13-6, right? But that last one, to your point, man, not just the moment, but again, just here you go. The Rams have an opportunity to get the stop. They have us pinned deep in our own territory with the blizzard coming down.
Yeah.
And he literally says, watch this. And the energy that he brings, the person, brother, like him smacking his helmet on the 10-yard line as he's running 20 miles an hour to the end zone, sliding, him after the game with Howie and going nuts. He wants this obviously more than anybody. You almost want it for Saquon just as much as you want it for the Philadelphia Eagles as an Eagles fan, bro.
Yeah.
That's how important this dude is. That's how fucking awesome this dude is. And it's like you said, 2 games away. But man, watching him yesterday, it's what we talked about at the end of the regular season. It's getting this dude in the biggest moments. And he had a very good game against the Packers. This was next level, brother. Just like we almost just scoff at the part of 205 rushing yards.
Yeah. Like it's
just
just
brush
easy.
it off the shoulder as if it's nothing. It's easy. A 62-yarder and a 78-yarder, like it's nothing.
Yeah.
He just does it all the time. That last drive, I'll get the drive after the Saquon 78-yarder. The defense definitely settled back and should not have allowed them to march down in a minute. But
how much credit do we take away from like Matthew Stafford? Like we can't call Matthew Stafford Hall of Famer on one hand, Sean McVay Super Bowl winning head coach on one hand, offensive genius, and then just like discount everything that they're also doing on the offensive end of the ball. Like Cooper Kupp made some crazy catches in this game in the snow.
Marcus Robinson goes up and takes a ball.
Marcus Robinson, yes. And in the other side of it, you did lose Quinyon Mitchell in this game and you survived, right? Correct. So that I don't know. They played well. I do agree. I don't love to see that at the end of the game, but I think that's one of those things like it is Vic Fangio defense, right? Like that's his style, especially when you get a double-digit lead, a 2-possession lead.
Yeah, no, there was definitely like a pit in your stomach after Saquon takes that one to the house. You think the game's on ice. There's a little over 4 minutes left. You think it's over,
especially the way the defense was playing too.
Yeah, and now the snow's really falling on that drive. Like I'm thinking, man, if Stafford hasn't done much before the snow was really,
why is it going to happen now?
Now it happens, and then we got
switch that hurry up offense.
We throw the ball on second down. He slides to keep the clock running, force him to use timeout. We use yardage. We punt 15 seconds later. Nakua makes the catch, and it's like it felt like
the world was ending.
A classic collapse, and we're going to be sick to our stomachs after this. But Jalen Carter and the defense did what they had to do. Obviously, the Rams scored 22. Jalen took a safety. The defense gave up 20 points yesterday, man. This defense continues to only give up 20 points. You're going to win 2 more football games. I can promise you guys that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. You go into that game, man. You go into that game and you're thinking, like, yes, obviously, like the way the Eagles play, the weather does favor them. Like the physicality, the nature. Excuse me, goodness, the nature that the Eagles play with. But when you're in the moment and you're just watching the snow come down, I honestly wanted it to just not snow. Like, quite honestly, even though I do understand that it kind of favors the Eagles and the way they play, it does create a nature of randomness and like things that wouldn't normally happen, right? Like AJ Brown not catching that football in the end zone. Like I think he obviously should have caught it anyways when you see Puka make the catches that he makes. Cooper Kupp, right? Cooper Kupp made the same exact play. It just wasn't.
And on the last drive, the Rams did drop a few balls because of the conditions.
Yeah. So that's the other side of it.
I agree with you. As people,
I would rather it not snow.
Touchdown as well.
Because I trust the Eagles' talent. I trust them without the extra shit, right? Like we don't need external factors to win games. We can win it straight up. So that's how I was kind of feeling during the game, man. It made me even more nervous with the snow. Because at that point, all right, like Stafford plays bad in the snow. We talked about that. But, like, how does Jalen play in the snow? You know what I mean? So, like, that is the other side of that conversation. But at the same time, I don't need to sit here and hear, like, Alex Smith on whatever it is, get up in the morning talking about the Eagles only won because of the snow. Dude, the snow was predicted going into the game. It's not like it was, like, random as fuck that it was snowing. Yeah. We knew going into the game the weather was going to be snowy.
Here's what I want to know. Like, so I'm assuming they're talking about the turnovers, right? The Stafford slip out of his hand. Right. The punch out by Jalen Carter, a couple of drops by the Rams. That's what you're talking about. But wouldn't that logic make more sense if you walked away from this game and Stafford only threw for 170 himself and neither team could pass the ball? And then it's like, man, dog, you do realize Stafford still threw for over 320, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, so he was still able to be very, very good through the air in the elements. What changed? And by the way, the other teams playing in the same elements, it wasn't unforeseen to your point. They knew about it going into the game. So just fucking enough, bro. Like, just quite literally.
Like, some of the sacks that Jalen took, like, how many of those are because he's in the snow and thinks in normal conditions he would get out of those situations? Like, it plays a factor on everyone. There's a couple times where Saquon slips.
So I am glad. So we're going to come back to Saquon. We're going to come back to Jalen. I do want to get to Mrs. Scotty's comment and NE Sports' last comment because it's a combination of the two. I do want to address it because obviously it's been talked about over the last 2 weeks, over the last 2 months when you had everything factored in. Now it's being talked about this morning, man. Jalen Hurts, 15 of 20, 128 passing yards. No passing touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. I completely agree with NE Sports. I don't know why I keep tripping up on that name. It does not matter. I've said it 1,000 times. I don't care if they win the game 7-6 and Jalen has 92 passing yards. You are going to the NFC Championship. To go back to your mom's comment, the only thing I want to say is we keep saying that. Like, that's like, people keep saying this, not we. I keep hearing if they play like this, if the passing game struggles, if Jalen struggles, they can't win. Well, they beat Green Bay that way. And now they beat the Rams this way. They win football games. He wins football games. Nick Sirianni wins football games. And there were a lot of dumb things said on airwaves this morning and on ESPN and national television about this offense and Jalen and not talking about other quarterbacks, Scotty, that played over the weekend as well. Louis Riddick said something stupid as well. Like I saw,
and he's a guy. Just before you get into that, like that's the thing that's like really blowing me is that there are respectable people, like people whose opinions I actually respect, that are spewing this bullshit, man.
Mrs. Scotty, I love
you. God, she texts me this shit too, dude. Like, come on, man.
They beat Kenny Pickett in the last 6 seconds. And if Devontae doesn't drop the pass, they win the game in Washington. And we already beat them as well. But my point is this, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically what Louis Riddick said after saying something stupid was people keep harping on the passing game. But what it really is it when you look at the offense in the passing game? You're looking at explosive plays. Right. Yeah. So if other offenses, if Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or even the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, if Jalen has 2 passing touchdowns and they're 40, there's a 40-yarder and a 62-yarder, but Saquon doesn't have a big run, they kind of shut him down. Is anybody complaining about the offense? We didn't run the ball well, but we threw the ball really well. We had 2 big touchdowns off of it.
Right.
If Saquon Barkley if the running game is creating a 44-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, a 60-plus yard touchdown run by the running back, and a 78-yard running, what's the difference? If it's through the air or on the ground, they're explosive plays, they're touchdowns, they're big explosive runs. That's what you're really talking about when you're targeting the passing offense.
No,
brother.
The other commenter is my mom in esports. We're not like disrespecting you. Like, no, that's literally my mom in the comments.
Yeah. And I agree. And it is going to be a good game, and we are going to talk about Jaden Daniels and that Washington offense later on in the week. But this whole look, we're blessed to be hosting the game. I'm not scared about it, but my whole point, Scotty, man, is they keep harping on it. Like, let me ask you this, right? if this box score read Jalen Hurts threw for 265 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, no interceptions, but Saquon Barkley carried the ball 26 times for 72 yards and got stuffed up, would anybody be worried about the Eagles offense?
I don't
No,
think
because
so,
Jalen and the passing offense exploded, right? It's coming from the same place, the same side of the ball.
Yeah.
And lastly, and I'll throw this to you, man, we've already talked about it with bad quarterback play, meaning like Justin Herbert and Jared Goff and Jordan Love, and how they're not even really being criticized. In the same breath, brother, Patrick Mahomes, in a win, his offense produced 23 points. He threw for 170 yards. There's not a peep talked about.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's offense scored 27 points. He threw for like $160 or whatever in a win. Jalen's offense produced the most amount of points, 28 points, and the kicker missed 2 extra points. They scored 30 realistically. He threw for 128. He's the only quarterback talked about.
Yeah. And I'm not even trying to rag on Lamar. I'm not trying to rag on Lamar, but he turned the ball over twice yesterday.
Correct.
The MVP, right?
Correct.
Or Josh Allen, whatever, wherever you decide there. But Lamar, obviously, at least number 2 in your MVP rankings, turns the ball over twice yesterday. His team loses the game. Now, obviously, Mark Andrews, that whole fiasco, that plays a part, but it's still just, it goes to your point. And the other thing that I'll throw in there, man, you mentioned big plays. There's 3 plays. Well, no, let me backtrack. 3 plays. Now I thought of the other one. So the first one that comes to mind, Smitty. It was a targeting call, unnecessary roughness, whatever. If he catches that ball, that's what, 30, 40 yards through the air? Right. Okay, that's a big play, number 1, right? So Smitty should catch that, quite honestly. I get it. It's a physical hit.
Yeah, you got wrecked.
You should catch
the AJ one was about what, 35, 40 yards?
The AJ Brown touchdown that he's rolling into the end zone. If he just catches the ball on his back, that's a tutty. That's 30 to 40 yards. It's another big play.
The Goddard screen.
That gets called back. That's another 20 to 30 yard play that gets you down into the goal line.
Right.
You lose points there. So once again, man, there's context that goes with everything. I do agree overall. I don't think that Jalen Hurts played good yesterday. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The sacks that he took were fucking beyond annoying. The safety is disgusting. I'll throw another thing, though. And it almost sounds like an excuse. I'm not excusing the way Jalen Hurts played because he is separate from Kellen Moore. He has to make decisions on the field that benefit the football team regardless of what is called.
Oh,
but,
by the way.
Kellen Moore. I don't know if it's Kellen Moore next year. We know how the play calling. We don't know how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Kellen Moore the blame because he's the offensive coordinator. Some of the calls were very questionable, especially given the nature of Jalen and his health coming off of that rolled knee. And just honestly, the conditions, man, like read the room. Right. Saquon is breaking a run at any sudden moment. You can give him the ball 3 times in a row in the fourth quarter, brother. Like when you have Jalen on a bad knee, man, I hated that one play call. It was second down. It wasn't third down.
You're talking about the rollout. The rollout.
Yeah, the rollout.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I texted you the same thing. Why are we running Jalen on a bootleg going across body? We're rolling him out left to where now he's got to flip his hips if he wants to get a throw downfield. So I don't understand that either. I don't understand the design. You do run the ball there. The safeties, the sacks, some of them can't happen. Our offensive line was getting pushed back a couple different times throughout this game with a couple of the sacks and pressures. I don't know. And I agree, man. I 1000%, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah, because you look at the 4 quarterbacks left.
Correct.
Allen, Hurts, Daniels, and Mahomes all can use their legs. And we don't think of Mahomes like that, but he uses his legs a lot, man, to extend plays. So,
and let me tell you, of the three out of the 4 games over the weekend, between Hurts, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes, all 3 of their teams won. All 3 of them threw for 170 or less passing yards. All 3 of their offenses were outgained by their opponents. They all protected the football. The opponents did not.
The common denominator.
That's what playoff football is.
Yeah.
And I hear everybody. The safety's mind-boggling. But my point is this, man. If you're gonna wreck Jalen up, if you're going to wreck Jalen about the safety, does he get credit for the 44-yard touchdown run or not? Did he do that or not? But I don't know if you saw this either, but Orlovsky did a breakdown, which is very confusing because Orlovsky will like dog the passing game in Jalen and then come out and like defend it 20 minutes later on Twitter. He showed it. Both of Saquon's big touchdown runs yesterday, Jalen checked to.
Yeah.
That was Jalen at the line of scrimmage.
It's
literally broken down on film. I can send it out there if people want to go see it. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. So there's a lot of back and forth.
Just water, Jose. Just water. It's Monday, man.
It's a long weekend too.
Yeah.
Agree, sure. Craig. I 1000% agree. You run the ball there.
Yeah.
If you're going to roll him out, you don't do it that way. You basically put yourself in a punt situation after that because once he takes the sack, that's the smart thing to do there. You make the Rams burn that timeout instead of just throwing the ball in the dirt and then reserving the timeout as well. But now you're back. Now you lost 6, 7, 8 yards on that play. Now you're a handoff and a punt.
Yeah, and you see Saquon on the and I get it. It's all situational. Context does matter, but Saquon gets 6, 7 yards on that third carry. So what if you just ran it on second down with Saquon? Maybe you pick up 2 or 3. You get the first down on third down, man. So
and the reason I'm tired of hearing people, the reason I'm tired of hearing people overthink the passing game as well is Jose's first comment, man. On both, Saquon popped one, I believe, on like the Sunday night game we played them and yesterday. Or maybe
there was a 9-man box. 9-man box in week 12. 8-man box yesterday. Yeah.
You can't stop it.
Yeah.
You cannot stop it. I am going to ride 2-6 all the way to a fucking Lombardi, and you're stupid if you think otherwise. And I kind of mean that disrespectfully. Can the quarterback do a bit more? Yeah. Does he need to be smarter in the pocket? Yes. And now the injury is probably going to make things a little bit more difficult when it comes to him his escapability and having the read option work and everything like that. But man, 15 for 20, $128. It looks bad. He's not turning the football over. They're winning football games. The offense is still scoring 30 points a clip in the postseason. It's mind-boggling, Scotty. It is mind-boggling.
Yeah. But I think to your point, we talked about it a little bit before we started the show too. The people keep saying, what if they stop Saquon? What if they stop the run game? And to your point, they're not. It's not happening. And that's the point, man. The thing is, if Hurts has that, like 200 passing yards yesterday, 2 passing touchdowns, whatever, right? If Hurts has that yesterday, we blow the Rams the fuck out. We blow them out of the building. Like, yes, I do agree. I do think that Hurts just being a little bit better in the passing game, whether that's just AJ catching that touchdown, whether it's Becton not getting the penalty on the Goddard throw, if it's Smitty making that catch downfield, like if it's Hurts not taking those sacks, yes, that is the way that you go through the rest of these teams and you blow them out. I do agree. I think that's the difference between
a
6-point win yesterday and not covering the spread versus a double-digit victory or a 2-possession victory and not having to sweat that out so much.
Agreed. And that's
I think that is the difference.
But to your point, man, if AJ Brown catches a lollipop back shoulder at the end of the first half, Jalen Hurts is 16 for 20 for about 165 passing yards and a passing touchdown and a 44-yard rushing touchdown in the game.
Yeah.
And the Eagles win by 2 possessions. So, yep.
Yeah, the sacks kill. The sacks kill. It's the worst part of his game by far. It's the thing I hate the most. The sacks, just holding on to the ball. But every time I go down this path of hating it or having that mindset, I ask myself, do I hate interceptions? Do I hate the ball thrown up in the air with no direction to it and the ball going the other way for the other team? And I think that's kind of the balance that you have to look for there, man.
Agreed. And I saw, I want to go back to this one comment from Craig. Like I do understand it, but I just don't when you say problem, it's like Maybe he means like problem in terms of Jalen could be better if AJ was a little bit more better.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like, and that's why people should be worried, brother. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown caught 6 for 35. In the first playoff game, we know neither one of them really got off. And people are like scared. People are like worried about I'm not worried about the offense.
Yeah.
The opponent should be worried because the Eagles keep scoring 30 a game and winning playoff football games, and the 2 wide receivers aren't producing much at all.
It's not even clicking for AJ right now, and they put up 28 points, man. And the other thing, Dallas Goedert is getting it rolling.
I'm saying 30. Jake Elliott took 2 points off the board.
Yeah. Jake Elliott, man, he's it's so weird what's happening this season, man. He'll miss 2 extra points, but then nail the field goal.
Right, but misses an extra point when the wind's calm and there's no snow coming down the beginning of the game.
You just can't trust him. You can't trust him at all. Either way.
That's my biggest. That's my biggest.
Trust him to miss. You can't trust him to miss either. That's the thing. Like, he's just a complete wild card right now. But I don't. It got kind of overshadowed. Dallas Goedert added back to the mix like full steam ahead. Like it seems like every postseason they amp up his role or something, but he's ready to go, man. He's back and he looks good. He looks good.
Goddard's had 2 moments. And again, to your point, man, if Mekhi Becton doesn't end up 19 yards down the field before the screen's dropped off, that's another big play, and they're set up, and they come away with a touchdown there or points there. I forget how that drive. I think they end up punting on that drive because they didn't want to try to. That was either the Jake 44-yarder or they punted because of how they got bumped back and didn't want to force it. But
and that happened a couple times too. Jalen takes a sack, takes you out of field goal range.
Right.
That happened a couple times as well, man.
The context of how the game played out does matter. At the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles scored 30 points. The defense continues to cause turnovers, and they're hosting the NFC Championship. That is all that fucking matters.
Yeah.
And if you are a gambler, if you pay attention to line movement and odds and everything out there, newsflash for people, the Philadelphia Eagles are the favorites to win the Super Bowl today on your sports books, wherever you like to shop. Better than the Chiefs, better than the Bills, better than Washington, who they play this week. So you think they're going to win the Super Bowl because no. But I think it should tell you, just like they were 7-point favorites against the Rams and all those people were shitting their pants, just like against Green Bay, this team is a good football team, excuse me. Their coach just continues to win games, and the quarterback, like to Jonathan's 1 point up here, man, like they will be the two. If they continue on this track and it gets them to a Super Bowl, yes, Saquon Barkley and the defense will be the 2 biggest reasons they host the Lombardi. But I just want everyone to know, like the quarterback does get credit. Like just because, he only threw for 160 yards, he only threw for 150 yards here. Guess what? In all of Jalen Hurts' playoff wins, he averages like 145 passing yards per game.
Yeah.
In the wins. Okay. Yeah. You don't get to this point with bad quarterback play. Like I saw a clip from Hunter Brody. He like clipped his late night call on WIP when he was hosting last night. And he was going back and forth with a fan who called in and was like ragging Jalen and saying how they can't win with this bad quarterback play.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that.
They went 14-3 in the regular season. One of the losses he got knocked out in.
Yeah.
And now they're 2-0 in the postseason. You don't win this many football games if the quarterback truly sucks like everyone thinks he does.
Yeah.
Can he be better? Yes. Can he not take the sacks? Can he not take the safety? Yes. Does he suck? Far from it. Far fucking from it. And I just want to throw this out there. I know we're not going to have a too long of a show, man, because it's just a nice little celebration, and then we'll move on later on in the week. But I do want to throw this out there. Jaden Daniels is legit. Jaden Daniels is fun. He is explosive. What he did on the road to the Lions, the fact that he has his team in the NFC Championship with a lack of weapons outside of Terry McLaurin is impressive as fuck. Yeah, I know if Marshall was in the comments right now, he'd be telling me how Jaden, lit us up for 5 touchdowns the last time we met, and he is legit. The first time the kid came to Philadelphia, he was in for a rude awakening. We're going to see. Because I promise you, all you're going to hear this week is how Washington's rolling. They're hot. That quarterback is the better quarterback in this matchup, and he's going to be the reason they come away with the win. We're going to see. Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
And the thing is, man, with Jalen Hurts, and I know we're going to be talking about this Commanders matchup all week. I think that's why we have to have a short show today, so we don't get into it too much, because obviously we're all eager to get to this game, to get to the Super Bowl.
And by the way, I'm happy with the comments right now. I'm bringing up the complaints that other people are saying, but our comments aren't being flooded with the slander, so I'm happy about it.
But just to speak again to the importance of Jalen Hurts and why, even when he's not passing the ball for an excessive amount of passing yards, right? It's just having him there. It's controlling the time of possession. It's the little 5-yard scrambles that get you in the 2nd and 5s or 3rd and 4s, right? It's the little things like that that keeps the ball in Philadelphia's possession. And boom, you're not putting the ball in Jaden Daniels' hands enough to go out there and get 5 touchdowns in one game. It's why we see the defense have success in holding teams to low scores, right? Is because these teams have to be efficient with their possessions. They're not going to get a ton of them if we're running the football the way we love to when Jalen and Saquon are out there. So once again, to your point of getting to a Super Bowl, and the funniest thing, man, about it, and I do get why people feel that way. It's going to be so ironic when Jalen goes out there and just balls out in one of these last 2 games and has that, whether it's an NFC Championship MVP performance or a Super Bowl MVP performance. We've seen it before, man. We know he has the capability. And the last thing I'll say about Jalen as well, because I don't want to get misconstrued. We've already said Jalen did not play well yesterday.
No,
or good.
I don't even think he played a good game yesterday.
But why is it that Brock Purdy went on this run to the NFC Championship? Why does he escape without getting talked about that? There's so many other examples that we could pull up, but it's just so hilarious the way Brock Purdy was talked about the last couple years with the San Fran team and the way they ran the football and had CMC as an MVP candidate. It's just so interesting. It feels so bullshit-ish.
It is.
But the problem is when half of our fan base also feeds into it and gives it nourishment to grow and expand. Yeah. And that's just where I'm at right now, man.
To the point of the Hunter Brody clip, bro, it is the middle of the night after your team just won a playoff game, an incredible playoff game in the snow at home, right? You are a week away from hosting the NFC Championship as a favorite with a Super Bowl opportunity on the line. And you're calling in complaining about the quarterback play. That's what I said to you a couple weeks ago. Scotty, if this is his stat line in the Super Bowl and they win the fucking Super Bowl, people will still complain the day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If the Eagles could hoist the Lombardi, if Jalen throws for 128 and no passing touchdowns, people will still say something negative about it. They just won it all. I don't it's mind-boggling the way that quarterbacks don't get talked about or even get talked about in losses when they turn the ball over compared to how he gets talked about is nuts. And to one of the comments from earlier, I forget if it was East or Jonathan or Craig, but so Jalen Hurts was 15 of 20 for $128 passing. Josh Allen was 16 of 22 for $127 passing. Josh Allen had 10 carries for 20 yards and 2 short touchdown runs. Jalen Hurts was 7 for 70 and a 44-yard touchdown run. Now just surf the internet, surf social media, and see how the 2 quarterbacks are being talked about in their wins yesterday.
Yeah. And if Lane Johnson doesn't have a false start, Jalen Hurts has literally 2 rushing touchdowns yesterday. So
correct, because the push gets it.
It is
right, and then we settled for a field goal after that. So that's even more points that the offense would have scored if Lane doesn't get a false start. The future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling, brother. Just the things that people gloss over, ignore, the lack of context, anything. Again, no one said Jalen Hurts played a great game yesterday. No one even said on the show that Jalen Hurts played a good game yesterday. The fact of the matter is that Philadelphia Eagles are hosting the NFC Championship. Just fucking enjoy it. Just be happy.
Yeah.
Guys, they're opening up as what, 4.5 point favorites, 5-point favorite against the Commanders.
4.5, 5.
They're the odds-on favorite right now to win the entire thing. Just be happy.
And the other thing, bro, the other takeaway that I have from this, man, this team's deep. This team has depth. They have guys that are ready to step in at any point outside of Tristan McCullum. They have guys that are ready to step in at any point and fill in and show up in big spots. Like Rodgers, yes, he did allow a few catches. I don't know if anybody's stopping some of those catches, man. Like the level the level of talent that it takes to have some of them, but he also made some plays out there. He deflected some passes. He did pick up that fumble and returned it into the Rams side of the field. Like, Rodgers stepped up. Oren Burks was out there hitting, man. He was out there rocking motherfuckers yesterday.
Oren Burks played a great game yesterday.
He can hit. He was good in pass coverage as well, man. That defensive line. Moro Ajomo out there with the sack yesterday. I think Jalix Hunt had a sack yesterday. These guys are showing up each and every week. It doesn't matter who goes down.
And to your point, you went on to win a game for 3 more quarters practically with your number 1 corner getting knocked out.
Yeah. On the first drive, right?
First or second drive of the Rams.
Matthew Stafford makes that run on second or third down, and he basically gets a first down, but he takes a hit. His ribs are hurting, but we lose Q for the rest of the game. So that was obviously a big loss. You would say, like, it's bigger than Slay. It's bigger than losing Slay in a game. When you get that consistency from Quinion. But Slay he had to step up yesterday, giving him some credit. He looked elite yesterday, honestly. He looks rejuvenated for the post, as he should. He looks a lot better in the postseason, man. Not to say he had a bad regular season. No, you don't have a top passing defense like we had if he does. But it seems like he's taking it up a level. So I'm very excited, man.
Me too.
7 sacks is one too many. I do agree. Too many sacks. The weather, you have to take some of that into account. The Rams' defensive line, let's give it a little bit of credit here as well. They had 9 sacks against the Vikings. They come out, get 7 against us. We're supposed to have this stout offensive line. Jared Verse getting to the quarterback at will after talking shit on us.
Yep.
They played their ass off yesterday. I'm going to give them some credit. Their linebackers are ass, though.
Dude, more so listen. He played a great game. Their line played a great game. I'm so happy we won. Not only just for the fact that we won the game. If Jared Verse would have won this game, if the Rams would have won, and Jared Verse had the day he had, I don't know what I would be doing today.
Yeah, I would be sick. I would be sick, man. Yeah. Because, obviously we
talking after every play before the game, and he had a hell of a game. But guess what,
brother? Punched him in the mouth first, and then he answers with what? 2 sacks on consecutive drives or something like that.
Why can I not find?
Excuse me, got the hiccups today.
You're good. We're about to wrap up anyway. But to Jose's point, they're 5.5 point favorites right now.
Yeah. My bad. I think
click it at the same time. It's all good. You got it. Yeah, man. It's going to be fun.
Just set the tone for the week. I wish Martian was here with us today, one of our other loyalists. But set the tone for the week. We get all this out of the way now. We're going to this Washington matchup. Let's go out there with our chests out, man. I'm tired of seeing Eagles fans quivering and oh my gosh, the matchup. No, if you were told before the season that you were gonna play a rookie quarterback in the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl at home,
Scotty,
you would have took it all day, man. Come on.
There were people 3 weeks ago that would have preferred to play Washington in the wild card round instead of the Green Bay Packers. And now for what? Don't get me wrong. It's not to take away what they did. It was they went on the road against the Bucs. They beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. They went on the road and dropped 45 against the Lions and came away with a 2-score win. And it's all impressive. But like, so now I'm supposed to be what? Like shaking in my boots because the 6th seed is coming to town in the NFC Championship game? Like, it almost feels like people would have preferred to go to Detroit and play that team this Sunday.
You know what it is? You know what it is? They're scared of that like underdog because Eagles fans just want to be the underdog all the time. It's almost as a fan base, we would feel better if we weren't the favorite.
It's sickening. It's sickening.
It's exactly what it is, man. Because if we were headed to Detroit next weekend, we wouldn't be favorites. I don't think we would be, right?
No,
going into Detroit playing that team.
We'd probably be like anywhere between 2 and 3.5 point underdogs, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think the Bills Chiefs is what, 1.5. The Bills Ravens was 1.5.
Yeah.
That it would probably be 2.5, maybe 3 at the most. When it comes to Detroit hosting that game, but it's not. It's here, and to Jose's point, it's time to move on, man.
Any sports? This right here, Jake Elliott. Oh my God, he would be pinned.
That's what was going through your head before they even got down the field on the last drive. After they scored that first touchdown, and we got the ball back, and we were up 6. All that debate, like all that we were talking about, was, dude, at worst, it would be an 8-point game right now if Jake just does his job.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Some weird behavior, and I get having your teammates back, but it was funny because we were watching. I forget who was being interviewed after the game, but you could see in the background someone was interviewing Jake Elliott, and we're like, "Who the fuck is interviewing Jake after this game right now?"
Yeah, and what are you even saying to?
Yeah, and lo and behold, it was Devin Caney. I saw it on her Twitter. It was her interview with him. And Jalen had come over mid-game and like gave Jake props. Dude, I'm sorry. I don't need some like positive reinforcement. Someone needs to grab this dude by his shoulder pad and go, do your fucking job or sit the fuck down. Like, dude, Scotty, it's getting to the point where you'd almost rather go for 2 every time after scoring a touchdown. But the issue with that is you can't do that because you need him to make field goals at the end of the day in big moment. So if you're not trusting him to knock down extra points, when we get the ball to the 33-yard line and it's 4th and 5, are we trotting him out there to try to kick a field goal in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl? So you still need him, so you can't do that to him.
Yeah.
But man, like, come on, dude. Like I didn't even know the kid for the Rams was the kid was a rookie in those conditions.
Nailing him.
Down the middle. And you're over here missing 2 extra points when it's calm. You didn't miss
He must have lost his power. I'm guessing that's what would make you inconsistent as a kicker is if you're struggling with your power. And like you said, that rookie is just kicking it straight down the middle. You see it with younger kickers around the league. I feel like they kind of dominate it to start their careers. It's weird, but I don't know. Yeah, Jake Elliott, the good thing I will say, it doesn't bode for this weekend because obviously we're going to be in Philadelphia. You're going to play out in the weather. Mm-hmm. In the Super Bowl, you're going to be in a dome.
Yep.
So there's really no excuses for the kicker at that point.
No, but outside of you either sucking and/or being in your own head, but if anything, if there is a negative takeaway from that win yesterday, it is just to be concerned and worried about the goddamn kicker. Yeah. Nothing else should be being discussed right now. But yeah, bro, we're back in the NFC Chip for for the second time out of the last 3 years doing this show with you, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's facts. What a good job we have here.
What a good
one thing I wanted to point out, man, Abdul Carter, dude. Like, what's up? Like, I know it's like impossible, but like, is it?
Well, I would say this, man.
He says no. I'm not playing for anybody but the
Eagles. That's what I was going to say. Like, I mean, you have Dion out here telling teams not to draft his son. Right. For fuck's sake, you had LeBron and Rich Paul telling teams not to draft a second-round player,
right?
Because to force his way somewhere,
right?
You're telling me something can't happen. So Howie maybe trades up into the mid-first somehow, and he tells some other teams no, and You know,
this man's acting like he plays on the team already.
I know.
Yeah, that was exciting me as well, man. But I think it speaks to our culture. I think it speaks to what we have going on as an organization. To me, I know he's a Penn State. Like, I get it. Like, it's close to home, but you have this. It feels like every year, whether it's a Georgia player, a Bama player, or obviously one of the PA.
Dude, and watching Howie, like on the sidelines for the fourth down stop,
celebrating and stuff.
Him with Saquon. I watched that video like
CGJ
20 times. It was awesome. Right, CGJ, right? Like, he leaves after the first year here, disgruntled Eagles fans. Howie's this, how like the organization's this, brings them back, and they have a it's like, all right, there is definitely a culture here. And let me just say one thing before we start to get into business for this week. And it's been pretty amazing to watch over the last couple of months. Wasn't there a head coach that was like a threat to get in his team's way of having success? Nick Sirianni, I mean, all he does is win, dude. If we're being honest, like, all he does is win.
Yeah.
They're back in the NFC Championship game. Again, we're at a point now where it's like, no, you should not lose this football game. But at the end of the day, it's the NFC Championship and things, you know what I mean? So it's like, is Dan Campbell being fired because he lost after a bye at home to the Commanders in the divisional round? So if he's not being fired, how's Sirianni being fired if you lose in the NFC Championship to the same team?
Yeah, no, I completely. It's kind of similar to Jalen, right? Like, all they do is get good results, although everybody tells us that they both suck. It is interesting, but Ben Johnson to the Bears, man.
Yeah.
Lions get a little taste of what we've experienced since losing Shane Steichen.
Yeah, right? Man. Well, and that DC might be going somewhere as well. He's on the chopping block for
Aaron Glenn.
To have some interviews lined up. All I'll say is, Kellen, you got your interview out of the way. Lock the fuck in. Because I absolutely hated the fact that you're allowed to requesting the interview when teams are in the playoffs is one thing. That interview is going to have to wait until my shit's done, or like maybe on a Tuesday. Dude, didn't they interview him on Saturday?
They interviewed him like he interviewed like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like 3 in a row. I swear.
Yeah, look, what are we doing?
It was either Friday, Saturday, or it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because he had 3 interviews.
Yeah, that shit.
So it is bullshit. That's one of the dumbest things in the NFL. Because, man, the Lions go out there and lose that game, and you're going to tell me the very next Monday Ben Johnson's on another team as head coach?
Yeah.
Like, that's disgusting. It's disgusting to know that he's leaving that NFC Championship game thing, or not NFC, that home game in Detroit.
It's what Gannon did. It's what
it is exactly what he did. Yeah,
he had no care in the world after his defensive performance in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He flew down to the desert. But we're going to talk about that Commanders team later on in the week, man. I don't think that they're underrated. The problem is that, what is it? The pendulum? The pendulum's going to swing too far the other direction this week.
Yeah.
The Eagles should not be, the Eagles and Eagles fans should not be taking Washington for granted. Duh. But what you're going to hear this week is going to go so far the opposite direction about how the Commanders are going to win this football game, and Jaden Daniels is way, way better than Jalen Hurts, and he's going to walk into the link and do the X, Y, and Z just like he did in the second half in Washington. All that stuff's going to be talked about.
We've already heard it about Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love. So, it's coming. It's coming, man. And it's going to push us to a point where it's going to almost sound like we're being disrespectful because we feel like the Eagles should win the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're going to get by Wednesday, Friday of this week. I'm sure of it, but that's what we're here for, man, to break down the game. Martian, what up?
There he is. You're late, brother. You're late. We're wrapping up now. If you want,
Victory Monday, man.
You want, go back and rewatch the replay and leave some comments on the video itself, and we'll check them out and get back to you on Wednesday's show. Yeah, there's that energy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, brother, we're 55 minutes in.
Yeah, you know who didn't who didn't show up today?
any of those Rams fans that were in the comments
James
yesterday?
Jones, Brian Pumper.
None of them.
Who was the other one? It wasn't
There's a few. There was some Washington
Paul?
account. There's
Paul?
another. Paul. I'm Paul.
Yeah.
I am Paul.
Paul. I am Paul.
Yeah.
So none of those guys. They might be the same person for all we know. But yeah, don't see any signs of them. They'll be here Wednesday because we're not recapping the game anymore. So we'll be getting into Washington, and that's when we'll start to kind of wander back in here. But glad to see you, Martian. Glad to see you're celebrating Victory Monday, right, my man?
Yes, sir. Anyway. Yeah, it was a game-changing sack, brother. Appreciate you, Rod. But we are going to get out of here, guys. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We're on the way to the first 200 subs here. So subscribe, like, share it out with your friends, family. Check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Follow us on there. That's where we're most interactive, and we're on as often as possible. So for myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your Monday, and we will be talking to you guys on Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.